So there appears to be some drama between Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and her once rival Joe Crowley. Now, look, Joe Crowley was the number 4 Democrat in the House, and he was defeated soundly by double digits by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Now, she ran an amazing campaign. She knocked on a lot of doors. She had a complete money disadvantage. She had a media disadvantage. Nonetheless, she fought hard. She ran an excellent campaign. She knocked on so many doors. She wore out a pair of shoes doing so, and she got people excited. And she won. Now, Joe Crowley, however, a little bit sore about that. And the newest news is that he is running against her in November. Wait a minute. Now, The Hill is reporting that Ocasio-Cortez has just accused Representative Crowley of refusing to concede the Democratic Party race and is now mounting a third-party challenge against her. Third party. Now, let me read her tweet here. She said, Representative Joe Crowley stated on live TV that he would absolutely support my candidacy. Instead, he stood me up for all 3 scheduled concession calls. Now he's mounting a third-party challenge against me and my Democratic Party, and the Democratic Party, and against the will of the New York Working Families Party. So what the hell is going on here? There's a lot to break down because it actually is a complicated situation. Now, Ocasio-Cortez, of course, was responding to a recent New York Times article that stated that Crowley is actually on the November ballot, not as a Democrat, but as a member of the Working Families Party. He is a literal candidate for the Working Families Party. Fascinating. Now, how did that happen? Well, when he was running in the primary, he ended up getting the endorsement of the Working Families Party. Now, that endorsement meant that, of course, he also got put on the ballot as a candidate to run in as a member of the Working Families Party, which is a strange thing to happen for sure. When he lost, of course, the New York Working Families Party said, okay, you might want to drop that because we're not interested in having you as a candidate because you're not supposed to be running. In fact, what we want to do is we want to endorse Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez instead. Or I believe that's the story. Now, while he was running, as I said, he got an endorsement. But when he lost, Working Families Party State Director Bill Lipton said he had reached out to Crowley and asked him to vacate the line. And he said subsequently his campaign refused. No, sorry, we're not going to vacate the line. Now, apparently they have some reasons for this, and I'll get into that. But first, I got a quote from Lipton. He said, quote, "You think that given the moment we're in, that Democratic leaders would want to help progressive forces to unite?" Well, that's true. In fact, that's what Crowley had promised. Oh, no, don't worry. I'm going to back your campaign. I'm going to do it enthusiastically because we got to beat the Republican in November. That's the most important thing. Well, it's going to be harder to beat the Republican in November if you're also on the ballot, Mr. Joe Crowley. And it's just kind of funny how now we've got a third-party challenge. What was this about unity? What was this about running as a Democrat? I mean, don't run third-party candidates. Don't run as third-party candidates. Third parties are bad. They're going to spoil the elections. And yet, Mr. Crowley is a spoiler to an election. Weird. Look, I guess when a progressive wins the Democratic Party nomination against an establishment tool like Mr. Crowley, third-party challenges are suddenly okay. Fascinating. Now, of course, Crowley says, no, what are you talking about? I'm not actually running. Oh, yes, I'm on the Working Families Party ballot in November, but I'm not actually running against her. No, I fully support Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And in fact, she is being so incredibly unfair to me right now. She is being so mean. In fact, here's a tweet. He said, Alexandria, the race is over, and Democrats need to come together. We need to have unity. I made my support for you clear in the fact that I'm not running. We've scheduled phone calls, and your team has not followed through. I'd like to connect, but I'm not willing to air grievances on Twitter. So Okay, so now you have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's campaign saying, look, you won't concede. We've tried to get you on calls, but you won't do it. And then you have Crowley saying, no, it's you. You're the ones who aren't setting up that concession call. Now, who do you believe? She said that this is a Crowley campaign aide told The Hill that Ocasio-Cortez's claim about him standing up concession calls was a lie. She said numerous phone calls have been set up, but Ocasio-Cortez's aides have failed to follow through with providing a phone number. I don't believe that at all. Then, when asked about Mr. Crowley's plans regarding the Working Families Party line, this is interesting. A campaign spokeswoman said only Joe Crowley is a Democrat. He's made clear that he's not running for Congress and supports the Democratic nominee in New York 14. But nonetheless, he's still on the ballot. And nonetheless, that could lead to people voting for Crowley in the general election. So how would you get off the ballot? I mean, can he just leave? Well, it actually gets complicated. The New York Times notes that in Crowley's case, vacating that line is actually not a simple process. They said that the Working Families Party must go through a convoluted legal maneuver, essentially nominating the unwanted primary winner for another electoral position on the ballot, often one that he or she has little chance of winning, like a county clerkship in the region of the state dominated by the other party. So let me just go back to how New York has some of the worst electoral laws in the country. I mean, where do we always seem to have problems with the Democratic Party? In New York. For example, we'll go back to the rule of you must register a year before the primaries in order to vote in the primaries. What? That's insane. That is super crazy. Oh, you have to be registered for a year. And then, of course, there were ballots being purged during the primary election between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. So that was weird. They've got all sorts of weird, arcane electoral laws. And now they have this. So Crowley had to go to the Working Families Party and say, oh, okay, nominate me for something crazy that I'll never win. Now, the problem is he hasn't done that already. And he said no indication of doing that. Now, as soon as I had lost, if I were Mr. Joe Crowley, and if I were serious about supporting Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in the November election, I think I would have went to the Working Families Party and said, okay, look, our election laws are weird. I know I got your endorsement. So just nominate me for something crazy that I'll never win. And then if this ever comes up, well, then we know you can go and tell people that, oh, no, I'm running for some crazy, position, county clerk somewhere in a really conservative area. I'm never going to win this. So it's okay. I'm not actually running in New York 14. Did he do that? No, he didn't do that. Which tells me a couple of things, right? For one, I think he does want to be a spoiler in the general. Well, why do I think that? Because I think he wants to split enough of the vote to allow a Republican to win. Now, why would he want to do that? Well, maybe he's upset that he got knocked off. He could have been a successor to Nancy Pelosi. That is a strong position. That comes with a lot of power. But then some 28-year-old upstart comes out of nowhere and knocks him off his perch? Well, now I'll never get to be leader of the House. You just screwed my political career. What the hell? Oh, that's it. Hey, turns out I'm still on the ballot. Maybe if nobody notices that I'm still on the ballot, I might be able to be just enough of a spoiler to let the Republican win. What could I do? Then later on I could say, hey man, look, stupid New York rules. What can they do? It wasn't my fault people voted for me and not for her. I guess her ideas just couldn't win a general. Progressive ideas, they just don't win. It's just like what we were telling you all along. Look, maybe I'm being too hard on him. Maybe I'm being conspiratorial. But, it's possible with these people because, well, a lot of these politicians, all they care about is amassing power. And when they don't have power, when they get stripped of that power, I think they're understandably going to be very angry. Now, angry enough to do something like this is certainly possible. I don't know Crowley personally, so maybe I can't exactly say it. But nonetheless, that's my general idea. He wants to be a spoiler because the Democratic Party has shown over and over again, the leadership, I should say, has shown over and over again, that they would rather elect a Republican than a progressive. And if that's the case here, well then, it might just work. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.